Good morning, people. Sorry for the mustache here. Virginia's like, hey, grow a mustache again so I can ride it. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But if you're watching this video, that means you've probably seen my last video where we went 5'7" at 122, I believe. And you're probably asking, what's next for the channel? Well, we got this baseline and where we needed it. Now we got to fine tune it and refine it. The only thing is we ran out of season. I believe that's going to be our last session of the year. It's too close to winter here and you can't really get out anymore because within the next week or two there might be snow any day of the week. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, hit that little bell notification so you can grow the channel even more. And next season will be twice as good as this one. So in last video, notice I kept talking about converter slip a lot. Well, the real math is 7,300 RPMs, 28-inch tall tire, 373 rear gears. I should have been 163 miles an hour with zero converter slip, which is almost impossible unless you have a lock-up converter. What we were actually getting was 122, so I believe it was like 26 or 27% converter slip on us. Well, I didn't exactly order one. Neil from Horsepower Solutions, the guy with the cream dream, the guy who put on the tuning school, he actually had a converter custom built for his car, but he's got a 133 millimeter back wheel turbo and mine's only 103 millimeters and he just couldn't get on the converter. So I bought that one. We're probably gonna rip the transmission out of this, change the converter in it, try and spool it again, see if we can get on the converter. And then that's probably where we're gonna end that part of it. Our headers did get really blue. This is like some cheap China 304 stainless. These were honestly like 250 bucks for both Flowtech headers. They're Flowtech 304s. I paid a little bit more to get the 304, but it does look like it's already rusting on the outside here. Everything started coming out a pretty good color. And there's gonna be a couple things in this that we're definitely gonna need to be working on to get this thing ready for the next time that we go out. One of the big ones is the wiring. Inside this car, the wiring is like horrendous. I could barely find relays and switches and shit that I needed to find to diagnose stuff because everything is just kind of clumped on top of each other. So the first thing we're gonna have to do when we break this thing down over the winter is the wiring in it. And I wanna wire it good that I know where everything is, get my own pinouts because it's super helpful at the track. If you wired the car, you kind of know where to look for errors. And I know I've been talking a lot. Look at the way we left the garage in our thrash on Thursday. I haven't touched anything in here, so it's kind of a disaster. One of the things being, we actually have to clean this out because I'm gonna be moving houses. We're going back to the other house. If you guys have been here for like a year on the channel, you notice my other garage, the one with the red walls in it. We're moving back to that house so we can do 2 builds over the winter. Likely, we're starting Virginia's Fox really, really soon. And then this thing I might put in the garage for now just so I can tinker with it and upgrade it. And then we'll ship that back over to this garage for storage and get another project going on the winter for myself. Because Virginia made it very clear that we cannot work on her Fox without her, so it's gonna be a joint build. And that only works on days that we have off together, so it's gotta be me and her at the same time building that car in order to, because she wants to learn. That was the whole thing. She didn't wanna just buy a race car, she wanted to build a race car to learn the same way that I do things. It's just one of those couple things that we're gonna do. I just decided to pop out our collection of turbos to take a quick photo just to say that I don't have a problem. Actually, this was our original turbo on this car, or this motor setup. So this was a 78-75 cast wheel. This was our next turbo. This is the 80 mil billet wheel with the small back housing. But the compressor size is still the same as this one. This one just has a race cover on it. And this is our 88-103. And then these are Virginia's turbos. These are 67 millimeter front wheels with 62 millimeter back wheels on them. So these things are gonna light extremely fast in her car, I think. We did get the bigger AR on the back, the 1.0 V-bands, but it's still a little tiny 62 millimeter back wheel. So I mean, these are gonna make 800, 900 horsepower, but they're gonna spool really fast and potentially rip the rods out of the block. So I kind of cleaned some stuff up in here. I got some nice mustache on the go, but I kind of cleaned some stuff up in here. And it's weird being on this side of the spectrum where I don't really have anything that I need to do right now. Like for the past 6 weeks, there was always something I had to do because I always needed it done to be able to do something else. And now I'm just at the point where it's like, I don't really need to do anything. So I think I'm gonna jack this up and we'll get ready to remove our, well, we'll jack this thing up. We'll get ready to remove our transmission because we gotta change the torque converter out in it. It's not gonna be here for a couple days, but I might as well get the transmission out and get started on it. I jacked up the car, but you know what? I don't even think we pulled our last log from our last pull at the track. So we're gonna do that first. Oh my God, the wiring in here is hideous. This panel hides a lot of our wiring, but I mean, I really got to redo that over the winter. We're gonna pull our log here. All right, so this is kind of what you go through when you do a data log on a Holly. If you do Neil's course, you're gonna learn something like this. All of our things that I have listed, I listed them as Kyle's dick, but everything that I want to see is over on this side. You can see this is where our two-step was set at. It was, I believe, 4,700 or something like that. And you can see that we are on 8 pounds of boost. We targeted, target boost is 8.4. And I believe it's targeting something around 8 PSI on the dome. It's making a couple of big jumps there, but that's just because we're hitting the two-step limiter. And then this is where we release it. You can see the RPMs move up. So we're gonna zero our table right here. And this is gonna be our new zero time. And we'll zoom back in on our pull. You can see this is wide open throttle here. I have a feeling that this isn't our last log though, because I did pedal it in our last run, and this doesn't show pedaling at all. Looks like fuel pressure is good. So this is kind of what you want to look through when you go through your log. You see that fuel pressure is good. You can see that oil pressure is good, 86 pounds. And then we're going through it. We let go of our button here. You can see that our time starts 0 seconds when we leave our button. We'll just go to 1 second and I'll kind of explain where we're at. So now we're 1 second into our log. We're also 1 second into our boost ramp if we open our log. So we'll open our global file here. We'll go to boost versus time, and you can see that we're 1 second into our run right here, and you can see kind of where our boost ramp is at. I know this isn't a real linear chart. It's just kind of what we ended up with. And then after 1.8 seconds, we'll be 25 pounds on the dome. Just for reference purposes here, this was 36 pounds on the dome on the dyno to make 1,000 horsepower. So we're still a lot left that we have to put into it. But you can see 1 second in, we're 16 PSI on the dome. We're getting 14.3 pounds of boost at 6,200 RPMs. So 1.8 seconds all in on the boost right there. It's commanding 25 pounds on the dome. We're hitting 27 pounds on the dome and makes 21 pounds of boost. And yeah, you just keep going through it. I think I hit the rev limiter here at 7,700 for a little bit. Goes through second gear. I hit the rev limiter again at 7,700. And then we go through the line and I let off full boost at 73, almost 7,400 RPMs. You can see that this is our air fuel line right here. It gets a little jumbly when I hit the rev limiter, but for the most part it's tracking really well. There was a little bit of up and down waviness right here, but that's coming off the two-step, so it could just be trying to correct itself. So that's kind of what we look for at the track. When you get there, you'll look at the thing, you'll be like the first 1 second of our run, which is like basically the 60 foot. We didn't spin. It looked like the car could use a little more power, so we'll pull the ramp back a little bit, or the ramp power in a little bit quicker, and then maybe we'll even take some time off the end of the ramp, so it'll be like 1.5 seconds to 26 pounds of boost or whatever, and our 60 foot's like 1.25, so you know you're kind of commanding all the boost by the 60 foot time. I'm kind of explaining this, and then I'm looking at the camera and I can see my mustache. I can't take myself seriously. I can't do it. So I'm just gonna get underneath the car. I'm gonna pull that transmission out now. This video is gonna be like all over the place. I have no set direction for this video right now, other than we're changing the torque converter. Alrighty, the trans is down. It probably took like 35 minutes, just something I hate doing because I obviously have to work on the floor here. This is the converter that was in it. It doesn't have any markings on this front side, so that probably explains why it was pretty not good. I'm gonna drop the fluid out of the other side, see if there's any markings on the other side here. Nope, no markings on the other side, just emptied it out. But we did have another converter over here It was a TCI converter. It's just hard to get back there right now. Friggin' little dirt bikes. Hun something, bushing, whatever. I don't know. I feel like if we put this one in, we'd probably be in the same spot we are now, where we're just guessing at it. So what I ended up doing, I'll close that off. That's a good like backup converter, I guess. What I ended up doing was getting a converter that was built for an 88, but they put it on Neil's car and it didn't spool because he has a 133 mil back wheel, and I have a 103. So I should be able to spool it. That shows up in like 2 days, so we can put it in then. The motor plates held the motor up on the dowel pins in the back. It didn't move at all, so I didn't have to take anything off, which is really nice. Really, really nice. If you guys have regular engine mounts, you know that when you pull the trans off, the engine tips, and then it puts a lot of strain on all this stuff up here. Where mine doesn't tip, it does not put any strain on this. So that's another benefit of having motor plates. Alrighty, we don't have our torque converter yet, but that's okay. We're gonna take the Hellcat up. We're gonna go for a ride to the other house, the other garage. Since we're gonna be making that transition soon, where we're gonna be moving from this house to that house, yeah, you guys are probably gonna make fun of me because the way I say house, you guys are gonna be like, why are you saying it like house? Or whatever you guys think Canadians say it. And we're gonna go up there and we're just gonna scout out what we need to do to get that ready for our 2 winter builds coming up. One's gonna be Virginia's. We're gonna bring my race car up there for now, just so I can touch up a couple minor things that I wanted to do to it, but I do need a second project for when we're not working on her car. And I haven't really decided what I wanna do yet. I kinda wanna make like a little tiny Leroy that I can use at the track, something that's gonna fit sideways in our trailer in front of the car, that we can use to push the car up to the line if we really need to, or just get around the pits. But I want it to look like Leroy, so I wanna have a still like front engine, rear wheel drive, little exoskeleton style car with some sort of twin turbos on it. So if you guys can spitball me some ideas on what I should use for like an engine and trans and rear end in it, and we'll kind of tally up what the total cost is going to be and how much fab work it's going to be and how interesting it's going to be, and maybe that's something we'll pursue. So most of you should remember the shop, the wall with the golden boys on it, and this shop is a little bit bigger than the other one. This one's, I believe, like 4 feet wider. Maybe even a little bit more than that, maybe 5 feet wider, and then another 4 feet longer. So we have another, I don't know, 100 square feet in this garage over the last one. And we just still have our Honda up here. This is our 4-turbo Civic. I've been holding on to this. I don't even care about driving it or anything. I want to bring it down to like PFI speed or like a Cletus in cars or something. I want to do something with it that we can get a little bit of exposure for, and then start something new, because this is just kind of taking up space. It's whatever, and we did it and it worked, but to get the recognition and followers from it would be kind of nice as well. We still have this. I kind of scrapped this project because I didn't have a tubing bender. I was doing it all out of square tubing. This motor was kind of done because it was burned up, but we might do something in the future with some of the parts on this thing. Right now it's kind of sitting because I spent a little bit of money on the wheels and the axle and shit in this thing. And then Virginia's Beetle's up here still. This is just currently being stored here. We're gonna move this to the other garage for storage. So this one and this one are gonna go to the other garage for now. And then the 2 Mustangs are gonna come up here side by side. And as you can tell, it's gonna be like, you could almost swing the doors open on both cars here and still work on them. There's a couple things that I'd like to get rid of out of this garage, like this is all garbage, that's all garbage, all kinds of garbage up here. So we do have a little bit of cleaning up. That's an empty box. We do have a little bit of cleaning up to do in here to get ready for the next build. I might cut this bench back as well, like somewhere here, cut this piece off. It just gives us a lot more room to store stuff like engine hoist, tubing bender. This engine's gotta go. This is the original engine, the V6 one, out of my blue Mustang that we put 175 shot of nitrous on, blew the air filter off, that caught fire and ended up in the fender well somewhere when we first got that. And then this is like just all my scrap metal that we kind of use. And my sump pump, because this garage floods still. So we've definitely got a little bit of cleaning up to do. here, I don't like, should I paint the walls white? I should probably paint the walls white before we move back in here because it's kind of shit for lighting. The only thing that kind of saves me now is that I put 10 of these LED lights in the friggin' ceiling, and they're kind of bright. I'm just debating on what to do here. Like, I don't think this thing starts right now because the battery's probably dead as hell, so I can't do that. This one probably doesn't start, but I mean, I forgot. Also, this garage does not have 220 in it, and I need to get 220 in this garage, or else we can't use our new welder because our welder doesn't run on 110. That's a big issue that we have to solve really shortly here. I should have brought the truck so I could load it up with stuff to bring it to the dump, but I brought the car instead because it's only a little, I can only drive the Hellcat a little bit longer before winter hits here in Canada. Because as you can tell from my McLovin shirt here, winter's about to come, and once she comes, she doesn't stop until next time when it does stop. But like I believe there's no more track rentals of the year, and it's only October. And some of you guys are like down in Florida and you're like, we don't stop racing. So how about that? I mean, in reality, if we wanted to use this garage for storage, all we had to do was push the Honda up further. You could put another car in the middle here up further, and then you can also fit one in the back sideways here if you wanted. That's if we wanted to use this one. Maybe at the other garage we'll be able to do the same thing where we can put the Honda up forward, the Beetle up forward, and then we can put something behind it sideways, because that'd be kind of cool as well. But we have a bunch of the toys that we have to put back there too. Like Virginia's Harley. Dun, 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 dun. Here's our new red converter. At least this one has numbers on it and shit. It's slightly bigger than our other one here. Oh, because it's got bolts on the bottom. But I mean, even the diameter of it looks bigger. It's probably like a 10-inch versus like a 9.5, I think. I don't know, let's get a measuring tape. I don't want to like tip it over either, because then it'll, this one is 9.5. I must mean this one's bigger. It must be bigger. Looks like 10 inches. It smells like burnt fluid, Neil. Oh yeah, she's toasty in there. You know, just under the car, tightening drive shaft bolts, questioning the decisions I've made in my life to put me here underneath this car right now with no lift, on a dusty floor, tightening drive shaft bolts. It'll be done though. This is the price you pay to be a budget racer sometimes. And sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes your back is getting cold because your shirt lifted up a little bit and the concrete is cold, and now you can feel the bare concrete on your back. And when you go inside, your back's gonna be all dirty, and your girlfriend's gonna question whether you're out here fixing cars or you're out here with Big Black Berry. Everything back together. I don't know what the last clip was, but I couldn't do anything under the car and show you, so everything's back together. I'm filling it up with high guard again. This stuff might be a little bit on the thick side, especially with our new converter, but if it's too tight, we'll just put some thinner fluid in it. But I mean, this will help keep it tight, because tight is right. And I think we're gonna try and get two birds stoned at once, and we're gonna mess with our bump box at the same time as we try and get on the brake. So right now, I think it was like 10 hertz at 65%. It didn't move, but I think it was because the converter's too loose. So I'm gonna move that to 15 hertz, 80 duty cycle, and then while we're out there testing, we can try the bump at the same time. Hopefully that button doesn't stick, or else it'll be... You gotta check the fluid when the car's running. It's probably the stupidest design ever made. Does it cold start? Not if the battery's dead. Now there's a couple ways to set up the Holley staging. Holley actually makes it really simple in V5 and V6. You can just go basic IOs, staging, and it's right here. The way I have it set up is a little different. I go to input outputs, right here. So this one's pulse width. I do it a little different. If you configure this one, I actually have a 2D map. And this allows me different map pressures. I can change my bump so the car doesn't bump too far. So just say, for example, at 12 PSI, you needed 80% to be able to get the car to move, but at 16 PSI, 80% is not enough duty cycle and it jumps way too far, well then at 16, you could make this just say like 85, and that's what it needs to creep forward. So this one lets you do it based on boost pressure. So if we hit 9 pounds, it's gonna give it 80%, and then you go like this, and if it's 12 pounds, it's gonna get 82% duty cycle, and then up here is gonna be 85, but these are just rough numbers. You don't use these numbers. Usually 15 hertz and 85% duty cycle is a good place to start. Well, there's no doubt that it worked. I actually feel much better about this one. The old one, it would smack like 4,400 right away. This one was like 3,700, and then it started to creep up to where it needed to be. I'm just gonna pull the log out of it, and we'll check the log, and we'll see how long it took to get on boost. I don't think it was long at all, but we'll just check it real quick. I know I should be using a screen recorder for this, but this is our test. So at 100% throttle, we're just gonna zero it out. Yes. So 100% throttle, you can see that we zeroed it out. And then right here will be when it's on the limiter. You can see it start bouncing here. So 3.1 seconds. So from nothing to getting on the converter, 3.1 seconds. That's not bad. That's 8 pounds of boost, makes up to 10 once you stay on it a little bit here. And I held it for a little bit here, but that's because I was trying to bump and it didn't move on 15 hertz, 82% duty cycle. So we're gonna have to play with that a little bit more. I don't wanna piss my neighbors off too much because the car is really loud outside. Oh my God, my tripod is tippy. But yeah, we've got it sorted. I was gonna wait until the spring to do that, but the converter came up and I just bought it and put it in. Too bad there's like no more events left this year, but it's sitting in a good spot. That converter should help it a ton on the top end. We're not gonna be blowing through it as hard. The only thing is, now we're gonna be going through the traps at like 5,000 RPMs instead of 7,000 RPM. So, I don't know, if we throw more power at it, it probably just, you know, do what it's supposed to do. Anyways, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit that little bell notification thingy, majiggy. And then you can head over to the merch store if you want, boostedlifestyle.shop, and pick something up. I've been talking with Nick, and maybe we'll get, like, collaborate kind of and make a giveaway or something, like every $5 you spend on wastegates or blow-off valves or something from Black Sheep Industries, and then we'll do a giveaway thing because you guys all need that stuff anyways, the wastegates, the blow-off valves, all that stuff. We're just gonna try and wait until he has like a bigger stock of stuff, and then we'll just kind of collaborate that way because, I mean, merch is cool, but having something functional that you can use is even cooler, and it helps grow the Black Sheep Industries brand. So, peace easy and get that V.